Eventually, all the refs are going to be replaced with robots. We'll have ref bots.
The best thing Glenn could do at a church league basketball is put an altar at the end of the court so that everybody could go repent.
Well, there's one toilet up here. I've kind of figured it out like the Fonz. It runs, but if you hit it just right with your elbow, it'll stop running. So.
What in the world is a narthex?
It's the place where Pastor Kevin's going to zip line in.
Hey!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Northside Now. This is the podcast where we take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick, and with me as always are my two wonderful co-hosts, Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant.
Hey, what's happening?
What's up, guys?
Hey!
Yeah. Man, how was that Super Bowl on Sunday?
Man, wasn't that great? That food was wonderful.
Tom Brady was awesome.
When that one team threw the ball and then the other team intercepted.
And that one guy caught it.
One guy caught it and ran, and then the other guy made a touchdown. Oh, it's so good.
And did you see that commercial? That was the best.
So funny.
When you said Tom Brady was awesome, I thought it was the wrong Kevin in here having dreams about his boy.
We still haven't
Brady.
seen Kevin in the podcast room.
Since Tom
retired.
retired.
Since you made your call out last week.
Yeah.
He's probably still pouting a little bit.
Yeah, he may. Hopefully he's okay. He's okay. Well, yeah, Super Bowl is always a big thing. It's just, it cracks me up how much people will pay for advertising for 30 seconds to get people's attention at a certain time, and just the whole mess around it. It is Americanism at its best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wonder how much actual eyeballs they see on Super Bowl Sunday. It's more the after replays and web ads and stuff like that, too. The landscape has definitely changed in that regard.
Well, everybody talks about the teams and stuff, but Pastor Gary's in the podcast room with us today, and he's been a member of the third team on the field. And Kevin, you do this too for soccer. Pastor Gary, welcome to the podcast room again, by the way.
Glad to be here. Who dat? Bingos.
But being a referee for years, and you're semi-retired at least right now, did you do anything different to get ready for a big game versus a regular game?
Just recognizing the moment and really understanding that you've got to get stuff right.
Yeah.
You got to know the rules and how to apply them. No surprise calls. Consistency. These guys in the NFL are making six figures.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's all kind of pressure on them. And then the fact that they have eyes now watching everything.
Right. New York.
Yeah. New York. You know, a bang play that may take 3 seconds. New York can slow down.
Yeah.
And so it's just a ton of pressure on them to get stuff right. And that's different.
Well, let me ask both of you, because Gary did football and basketball and baseball when he was younger a little bit, and Kevin, you've done soccer. Mm-hmm. You done any others?
Not yet.
Okay. Youth sports is such a big thing. I mean, it's a huge thing. It's huge in every area. I know it's really, really big. You know, we hear a lot about the issues of video, replay and all that. Do you ever see that making its way down into the high school level, or heaven forbid, little league, travel teams or anything? What do y'all think about that?
I think they're going to try. The problem is they don't have the institutional structure in place to be able to do that. In fact, TSSAA prohibits the use of replays to make officiating decisions and stuff.
Right.
But it's coming. Whether you want it to come or not, it's coming.
Yeah.
The challenge in soccer, and you saw this sort of tested at some of the lower levels and then made it all the way to the top. But the challenge was getting it consistent enough with the technology in all of these venues, right? So you've got, on the world stage, you have all kinds of stadiums, but then you get into individual leagues like MLS, you have, all the European leagues, the English Premier League, and the challenge was getting it to be consistent every single time.
Yeah.
And you spread it out to lower levels, you have even more venues, and it's not inexpensive systems. So I think it's going to be a real challenge, because what you don't want to do is have a video review system in one place that doesn't work like it does in another place.
Yeah.
That's totally not fair.
Yeah. And I think probably the only sport that can do it relatively quickly would be baseball or softball.
Oh, yeah.
Around the home plate umpire calling balls and strikes. Because you can get a machine that says, is it in the strike zone?
Yep.
Is it not in the strike zone?
Yeah.
And I think the reason it may be coming is it might be a review process where you get to challenge one or two plays during a game.
Mm-hmm.
Because most schools now They're videoing ball games like nobody's business.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can watch a whole ball game on television.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just a matter of time before some enterprising individual comes up with a way to do that, particularly in baseball or softball, maybe a little harder in football. But think about this. Think about how many close calls are made at the goal line now.
Oh, yeah.
Did he
Yeah.
break the plane? Did he not break the plane? And so you could put a camera in a strategic place and probably see that better, because the mechanics for an official crew is the end guys who are 50 feet away running in to say he got in or not.
Right.
The umpire is actually standing there looking at it the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I could see different little parts of replay making its way, but I think it's coming. The more technology advances, the cheaper it will be for schools to do that. Think about your home state of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
People are crazy in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And they have these multi-million-dollar stadiums.
Oh, yeah. They have the
and fields.
and they have the boards and the rooms up in the press box to make all that happen.
There are high schools in Texas that have, outside of UT Knoxville,
Oh, totally.
they have stadiums that compete easily.
Yeah, I know 3A and 4A schools in Texas that have
Ridiculous.
3 times anything
yeah.
Jackson has.
And I could go be
3
a
times.
football official in Texas and make $1,000 a game in high school.
wow.
Think about
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and now with the name, image, likeness in college,
Yeah.
the stakes are higher at high school
Yep.
for pretty much every. I mean, you can argue different sports, but high school athletics are a bigger stakes game in high school because you're only one step away from being paid.
Yeah, I just wonder, if you're out there watching little Augie play soccer on Saturday morning and, there's drones flying above every field and I wonder if parents would be like a lot better off because it's like, all right, I'm not going to get in a fight. I don't think it would change.
Well,
that.
eventually, all the refs are going to be replaced with robots. We'll have ref bots.
Ref bots.
There are drones. Every high school game I did the last 2 years.
Have drones.
They're
on,
drones.
Yeah, I know they're trading high school here in Tennessee. Local teams are trading drone footage.
Yeah.
I know they're doing that. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Well, who knows? I hope I don't ever go to see any of my grandkids or any of y'all's grandkids go play and with instant replay at the little league level or high school even.
Well, you'll just have ref bots that never make a bad call. So
Well, some of the technology they're proving it's more accurate than humans. So.
Well, they used them a little bit in the Summer Olympics.
yeah.
well,
that's true.
That's true. Yeah.
And the minor league baseball.
Yeah, I don't know if they're using any in Winter Olympics. I haven't heard. I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that reporting, but
Well, interesting. Well, that's not the real reason we had Pastor Gerry here today, but that's a good conversation
good
because. And where do we as a church fall into all of that conversation and talk? We've been talking to be a part of the world, but not, or to be in the world, but not it and all that. That's an interesting thought process.
Church league basketball with replay systems. That's what I'm seeing.
Purple Penguins.
I think
there we
probably
go.
the best thing Glenn could do at a church league basketball is put an altar at the end of the courts so that everybody could go repent
That's a really
at
good
the
idea.
end of each quarter.
That's a really good idea.
Because it's wild.
It is.
a lot of hacking going on there.
That's funny. Yeah, we train our kids here, or we just tell them, don't worry about if the refs make a call or bad call or good call. And we have witnessed in our own gym,
Holy war.
where coaches don't say that. Don't get so fired up. It's not the end of the world. They'll make some, they'll miss some. It's just how it is. Don't make a
Right.
big deal out of it.
Right.
And they get all in their head and they get mad and they get. I think some people calm down a little bit because they are in a church. I can
hope.
imagine. I know there's stories of
But
church league going crazy.
So many parents live through their children.
Oh yeah.
Anything is okay. And, you get them up hollering and yelling things that you just think, okay, what church do you go to? Really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we could have a whole hour-long discussion on the current situation of sport and behavior and whatnot. But I think ultimately, for me, what I'm seeing is that it's just a reflection of sort of our current cultural place. It's just whether you see lack of respect for other teammates or officials or whatever, it feels like that's sort of where we as a culture, at least in the United States, sit right now. There's just a lack of civility. I know that's something that Kevin talked about in a like a recent Joy group.
Yes,
But
he did.
it is very apparent to me when you, from politics to the world stage to cancel culture, all of this stuff.
Civility doesn't increase ratings.
Right.
That's
right.
true.
That's exactly right.
That is very true.
Pretty much our entire lives now are entertainment based.
Yeah.
It's like going down to the
finances of
intersection waiting for a crash.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's standing there looking, waiting for the car wreck.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Gerry, you've been blessed with the mantle of executive pastor, at least for the interim days around Northside, and it wasn't long after that you got to start digging holes in the pavement out there.
Start digging holes in pavements. We didn't dig a hole though in the wall.
Yeah, which
Fix
was
some
good.
holes.
But it is interesting simply because one of the things it's not funny, but in some ways it is funny. We had a leak right after that first really long cold snap.
Yeah.
We were hoping it was just ice melting from somewhere, and then it becomes pretty apparent that it's not. We pull out the building plans, and 3 adult men look at it. Even the vendor shows up and looks at it. We still can't figure out where the leak's at, and we discover there's 2 pipes. It's not even on the map.
Oh, wow.
It's where the leak comes from. And so it's just amazing, some of the things you run into.
Yeah.
But it reminds you that the building is a living building that you have to take care of. The facility now, as I understand, it was built in the 90s. I'm not sure exactly how long. It goes back to 91 or 95 or whatever. Then, Hope Hall was added, I guess in 2009.
Yeah, something like that.
And so we're kind of at the end of life for some of the piping, some at the end of life of some of the air conditioner units. And so a lot of things are coming home, as I say, to roost. And
let's put some perspective for folks out there. This is a big facility.
It is a big facility.
How many air conditioning units?
There are 29 air conditioning units because they do air and heat.
Yeah.
There are 29 on the roof.
Yeah. Let's stop and think about that, folks. Let that sink in for a minute.
29.
And they're not the small ones like you have at your house.
Yes. Most of them are 7.5 tons and up.
Woo.
7.5 tons and up. You actually have to have a crane to lift those.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing is when you go through the inventory, there may be 5 units that have had to be replaced since 1999, which tells you that guess what? The other 24 are in that age bracket to where they could stop or quit at any time.
Yeah.
And so you just begin to realize the gravity of, wait a minute. And then we have piping that goes through every part of the building.
Yeah.
We have a tremendous number of bathrooms.
I was going to say, how many bathrooms did you tell me?
I forgot it.
A bunch.
It wasn't in the 30s, was it?
It was, but if you count all the individual spots,
Individual toilets.
Individual toilets, it'd be right at
urinals.
30 something.
Yeah.
And
I believe that. Yeah.
And so, you just kind of like, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And so you sit there and you think, okay, some of the gaskets are worn out. And so sometimes you get leaks.
Sure.
Sometimes they continue to run after they're flush. We're looking at water fountains that need to be replaced that are at the end of their life.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of infrastructure that we're going to have to look at and develop a plan to probably replace.
And that stuff's used every day. I don't think people realize there's something going on here every day.
There
It's
is.
not just 3 hours on a Sunday morning and 1 hour on a Wednesday night.
I think Sunday we had like 465 people.
Yeah.
We know that we're on campus. Glenn does youth on Sunday afternoon. Don't know how many were here.
Yeah, we have probably about 50.
We have meetings on Monday. We have things happening on Monday night, Tuesday night. Wednesday night, last night, there were probably close to 200 people
At
that
least.
were here.
Yeah, we had over 70 just in the youth group last night.
Rev Kev had
He had a
like
big group.
probably right at 90 for
Yeah, he had a
Revelation.
big group.
And so I don't think people really understand how much this building is used, and we have not opened back up.
Right.
For outside groups.
Good point.
These are all ministry groups.
Yeah.
This weekend we have Chrysalis, we have a wedding reception, we have lots of things that are
It's a
happening.
big old Super Bowl party. And
Yeah. And so it's amazing how this building has been used.
Well, there's one toilet up here. I've kind of figured it out like the Fonz. It runs, but if you hit it just right with your elbow, it'll stop running. So
We may have to send Patrick around to all of
That's right. And there's one here in the gym. If you can't get it to flush, if you go around to the kitchen in the gym, turn the water on, come back, it'll flush. Then you go back and turn the water off.
They have a mind of their own.
It took me forever to figure that out.
It is. It's amazing. And you just kind of shake your head and think, wow.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get a hand on a lot of issues that we need to address going forward, and just have everybody pray that those 29 units on the building continue to work well.
During the summertime, air conditioning is Patrick's friend.
Yeah. Because we normally spend anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000 on those units when we have to buy one.
Yeah,
and so
and we have thermostats all around that are
amazing connectivity to our thermostats with our system, our wireless system, where we are able to adjust temperatures, a few of us even by phone.
Yeah.
And so we think we have been able to reduce the cost of utilities simply because of those systems. And hopefully in the not too distant future, we will be able to do the same thing with some of the lighting, where we have the switches that, when an area is not being used, the lights will go off.
Yeah, most of those bathrooms have those kind of
Yes, they already do. And so hopefully we can continue to use technology not only to spread the gospel, but to manage the resources that God has given us.
Yeah, well, I was hoping that when y'all were digging out in the front parking lot that y'all were actually digging and putting in a swimming pool. But that probably isn't the best use of
We could probably put in a baptismal, or we can drop a couple of heating units. We could do all kind of baptismal services out there.
There you go.
Well, there was a church not long ago that was doing some work or had some damage to it, and they found a capsule that some church
like a time capsule?
Yeah, like a time capsule.
Yes, they did.
If y'all ever run across one of those, let us know.
We found a lot of things out in the parking lot that we did not expect. There was a gas line that was found that they had not expected to find. They found some wiring to a sign that's probably 40 years ago.
Wow.
So it is amazing all the stuff they found in the parking lot. So it's just absolutely amazing.
There's been some upgrades and updates to some of the narthex and some other things. What are some other things that are happening around
You're
the facility?
Going to see a lot more messaging related to a people in a place of grace. And so you're going to see new signage, a redesign of the information desk so that Kevin and pastors and other people can greet people, talk to people, share information about Northside.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at other areas to upgrade around the church to make it a more user-friendly church, but also a more welcoming church as far as walking in the door and things like that. So a lot of things to come on that end, and probably get Christy to come talk about all those upgrades, because she's kind of helping us reimagine some things. And so, but there are just a lot of things that we're trying to plan in a smart way and do in a way that does not disrupt service on Sunday or Wednesday.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, it never hurts to throw on a layer of paint or, change a chair out for another chair or something like that.
Yes.
It never hurts.
One of the things I'm the most upset about in the narthex is there was a mark on the ceiling that came from my tennis shoe when I was about 13 years old, and somebody painted over it last week. Oh, my 20-year-old shoe mark on the ceiling finally got painted over.
Well, it's still there, Patrick. It's just covered.
That's right.
Still there in my heart.
Speaking of welcoming, I've got a question. We had a little bit of discussion before we went on the air here. What in the world is a narthex? You know, what I would say is I've got some relatives that live in the northern part of the U.S., and if you come from Wisconsin or maybe Minnesota, that might be just the place that's in the north, the north. The
narthex.
The narthex. So I wonder, was it a narthex, and then it just sort of slid into it's in the north? The narthex?
I don't think so.
No, I think it is like a technical term from years and years of religious buildings, right? Well, it's if a cathedral or whatnot, there's a particular part. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's actually from Greek origins. I just Googled it.
Okay.
Well, I suspect that it developed in the late 70s and 80s, early 80s, when churches begin to reimagine themselves and sometimes not necessarily calling an area a foyer or entrance or whatever.
Yeah.
And this more fancy term, narthex.
Somebody found that word
in suburban churches that sounded really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, the current definition is an antechamber or large porch in a modern church. So I guess what we have is an antechamber. It's sort of like the lobby or the gathering place outside the sanctuary.
Now, we could open a hole in the roof and have like fresh air running in there and stuff.
Oh, I thought you were going to say drop people down for healings. We could do that.
That'd be good too.
Well,
Getting all choked up.
All choked up.
Well, that's just one of those things as a new person to the church. What in the world is a narthex?
It's the place where Pastor Kevin's going to zip line in.
Hey, I like that idea.
Just a big gathering place.
Cowabunga!
Close to the service areas, the Hope Hall and the sanctuary. So I guess that's the best we can do. There's not a sign that says you are in the narthex.
No, it's not.
You are here.
Maybe we should have a map somewhere.
That's right.
Maybe it's the term the architect came up with to charge more money.
Yeah, there you go.
That
It
is
sounds-
probably exactly
It
right.
sounds fancier than
It
saying
does.
like lobby.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's happening in the joy world? I know y'all have had a lot of visitors and
We've
people coming
had,
in. So
in fact, Tuesday, Pastor Kevin came and talked about, as Kevin mentioned earlier, civility, how we get along, the messaging around that, our responsibilities as followers of Christ, how that is to play out in our lives. But we have begun to see an increase in the number of people who come to Joy. Joy traditionally focuses on people 55 and up, but anyone is welcome to come. And so next month, we're going to have a master gardener. I cannot think of his name at the moment.
Oh, wow.
I left the name somewhere, but he's going to come in. He is so busy that this is the only time he could come in the next year and a half. To
Holy
Northside
moly.
to talk about plants, talk about seasonal planting, all the things you want to know about planting flowers and everything else and anything outdoorsy. He's going to answer questions about. Then in April, Bob Arrington is going to come and talk about planning, estate planning from this perspective of losing a loved one, what happens, how that works. Then in May, Jared Hillebrand, one of our young adults, is going to bring his choir from Rose Hill to sing for the Joy Group. And then we've got a couple of Joy Group trips coming, including one in September to watch the Cardinals and the Nationals play in St. Louis. And so we want to get as many people as possible interested in making the trip up. The game is like at 12:35. So we'll leave here in the morning, come back at night. And it's the last time we did that was in September of last year, the Dodgers and the Cardinals, both in the playoff race. And it was just a wonderful ball game. We sat about 4 rows up from the field. And so it was really nice to get in, to get out. So a number of day trips that you can check out the website that we'll be posting in the next couple of days about trips that are coming up, day trips, trips to the Biltmore, trips to Nashville, and a couple other things that the group is planning to just get as many seniors as possible involved. And the fact that COVID numbers are going down is encouraging because people can get back out and enjoy fellowshipping together.
I know we went with the girls several years ago to the Biltmore in the spring, and I was a little excited, but I was there really because they had tulip gardens and I wanted to see those. And my goodness, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. What a wonderful place to go and beautiful.
It's great around the holiday and Christmas time.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
have it all
and I just
decorated.
went back in December.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm a history nut, so I just enjoyed the audio tour.
Yeah.
And getting the history of the building and the Vanderbilts and, all the things that have been modified over the years, but some that have been restored. It was fascinating for me. It's like transporting yourself back to another time.
Yeah, when you go during the holidays, like when we went back in December, they have all the house decorated for Christmas, and it's really cool. I will say the gardens probably look better when it's not in the middle of winter.
Yeah, we went
'cause
in
everything was
spring.
kind of. I mean, the gardens were still
beautiful.
cool, and they still had the conservatory
Greenhouses,
that you
yeah.
could go through. But the outside gardens probably look a lot nicer.
And
in
after
spring, summer,
the fancy shows like Downton Abbey and some of them, you just imagine that on our soil, in our own, how those families would have lived back at the same time frame. It's interesting. Bellevue, I think, has some big house like that.
And
The
I think in
Hermitage.
April, they're actually going to Bellevue.
Okay.
Wow.
So they try to do a lot of trips that would be appealing
Yeah.
and just doing activities together.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And so that will be a wonderful thing.
That is cool. Well, anything else coming up, Pastor Gary, that you're aware of?
The
that
only
you-
other thing I would mention is we had planned a trip to Israel
That's what I
before
was
the
gonna
COVID shut everything down in Israel. And so we have moved the dates from March of this year, which is next month, to September the 16th through the 26th of September.
Okay.
And essentially, I've had a couple of people reach out to me, so I'll be posting some of that information about the change in dates. The cost is still the same, about $4,200 a person, but it's an 11-day trip just in Israel. We're not going to Petra, Indiana Jones, Patrick's favorite place.
That's where I want to go.
And we're not going to Egypt to see the pyramids. That's an 8-day extension, and that's just too much.
Oh, wow, really?
And so hopefully we can schedule something just to the pyramids maybe next year.
Yeah.
Because traveling for 11 days gets to be very taxing.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you do a ton of walking and you see a ton of sights.
Wow.
And so it just almost gets to be a bit much. But we'll be sharing more information in the coming weeks about Israel. Israel has opened back up. Trips have been rescheduled for many of the groups that are going over.
Okay, cool.
And so it's just a lot of interesting stuff. As the Israeli guides will tell you, don't pay attention to CNN or Fox News. Pull up an Israeli site and see what's actually happening in Israel, not what you read on Fox or CNN.
Yeah.
And it's the trip of a lifetime. You'll see amazing things. That is the land of the Bible indeed.
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing time to be able to go. So that will be coming.
I'm glad that y'all got that rescheduled and moving on, because I know it's...
hopefully there will not be another surge to shut down anything.
Hopefully we're through surging.
That's kind of my prayer, is that we're through surging and this becomes like other endemics where we can just take appropriate medicines or vaccines if we choose to. And so it won't be that big a deal.
Good deal.
It won't be that big a deal.
Well, Patrick, we have anything else that's heading to us here soon?
We got a few things on the calendar at the moment. So right now we've got Raise the Roof 5 going on, which is our first quarter mission focus. It's to raise funds for Gambasara Church, because the government there in Africa has basically told the school that if they're going to keep their credentials, they have to build 3 new classrooms. So we're trying to help them raise money so they can do that. You can do that on the app or on the website, or you can bring a check to the church office. And I think during the month of February in the Narthex and outside Hope Hall, they'll be set up every Sunday to help take those donations.
Some amazing people we've gotten to know by name.
Yeah.
Moses, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
We got Anna and Sarah.
Just all good folks.
Something else coming up, Christy's K through 2nd grade event that she's got going on for the kids, Kid Detective, has been rescheduled from the 18th to the 25th. Okay. All of the other details are the same, but they had to push it a week back. So Kid Detective moved to the 25th.
Have a chance to go.
Yep.
Inspector Gadget.
That's what I
Does
think about
anyone
when
know
I
who
hear about
Inspector
that.
Gadget is now?
Oh, I hope so. If they don't, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, the original.
Yes, the original.
Gadget.
Oh, I would be
it's about
so
time for a
disappointed.
reboot if it hasn't already
Oh,
happened.
yeah, really.
We've got Ash Wednesday coming up on March the 2nd.
6 o'clock, right?
From what I understand, 6 to 7. It'll be in the sanctuary, and there won't be Bible studies that night. It's a Wednesday night, obviously, Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we'll have orientation for Grief Share. Will be on March the 6th at 2 p.m. And then every Sunday there will be Grief Share in room 119 from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And that's a grief support group.
And Miss Diane Rose is going to be here on our next episode.
To talk a little bit more about
that. Yeah.
So, that's all I've got on my calendar.
Small groups coming up.
Small groups coming up in March. Sign up
Yep.
on the app.
You'll see those in...
Quickly.
Yeah. Don't have a lot more time to sign up.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast, go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Glenn.
I'm Kevin.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.